The secret is that everybody just has their eye on the dollar. Most business owners are so concerned with the dollar that they forget about the fact that it's their customers that are going to grow their business for them. So if you're solely focused on making the next dollar, you're going to miss out.
From the team at Sales Loop, it's How to Sell More. I am your host, Mark Drager, and each week we bring you a master class to tackle the biggest challenge and take advantage of the biggest opportunity every company faces, and that is generating more revenue. So whether you're a business owner or a marketing professional, we are here to help you succeed in sales, even if it doesn't come naturally to you. Now, today we are discussing a topic that's actually not often highlighted. In the fast-paced world of entrepreneurship and of business growth, everyone is talking about scale. Everyone is talking about growth. Everyone is talking about turning things around as fast as possible. And today, we're actually talking about the opposite. We're talking about slow, sustainable growth. The question is, how can focusing on steady progress and exceptional customer service lead to long-term success in your business? And to help us explore this topic is serial entrepreneur, mentor, US veteran, Ryan Crownholm. Now, Ryan has built and scaled and exited multiple businesses, and he's done it by prioritizing customer value and really slow and steady growth strategies. Now, as I mentioned, he's the founder of multiple businesses. He started his first company in 2000 while still in college. And as you're going to hear in the interview, he was able to take that business from 1 truck to 10 trucks and 20 employees. He was able to achieve over $1 million in sales by the time he graduated. And from there, he went on to found other companies, mysiteplan.com, dirtmatch.com. And today he's an advocate, he's a mentor, he's an entrepreneur. But as you also are going to hear in this interview, he is frankly a no-nonsense business person. And I think that really was the secret to success and something that we can all learn from. So with all that said, I am so excited to share with you the conversation I had with Ryan Crownholm.
As the listeners heard in the introduction, you have been a part of a ton of different companies as an entrepreneur, as someone who's brought in as a consultant, as someone to help other businesses. How many businesses have you been actually a part of to date?
Well, the businesses that I've started, those, I think I've had 6 businesses, somewhere around there. Years ago, when I'd gotten out of the military, I started a junk removal business. That was sort of my first one. And I started that when I was in college. And then by the time I graduated from college, I think I was running 10 trucks and had about 20 guys working for me. And over time, grew that into a pretty good sized demolition general engineering company. And then along the way, there were some other companies that I'd started. I had electronics recycling centers that were across the Bay Area, property preservation company when the whole housing market crashed in 2007. So fixing up properties for banks. And then later on, I've sold some companies along the way, sold my general engineering company, and then started a drafting company. So we do construction drafting, and then also have an online dirt exchange. So I help contractors, excavators, truckers connect cuts and fills of soil. I've done quite a bit of angel investing and then some advising work, consulting work. And so I sort of spread the gamut pretty widely. But I think broadly, I like to stick to sort of construction technology or businesses.
And why is that? Because your background isn't specifically in general contracting or construction until you started your companies and grew that up. But you're very good at the startup, at the scale up, and then at a certain point, I guess you sell, you exit, you move on. What is it about that size of company, and what is it about your unique skill set that you bring to the table to be able to grow these companies?
Yeah, I never built a company with the intention of selling it. It sort of just happens. There was like the electronics recycling just made sense to divest just because the payments from the state got cut in half overnight. They were paying 50 cents for CRTs and TVs, and suddenly they wanted to pay 25 cents. And so it turned into a high volume business, which I don't like high volume, low margin businesses. My other one, the general engineering, that was sort of a big sale for me. And I just wanted to do something different. I had been working in construction for a lot of years because I loved manual labor. I love operating equipment, driving trucks, but my body was starting to wear down. And I just thought, if I keep this up, I'll be the fat guy in the pickup truck that can hardly walk. And I just needed to try something else. And so I sold that company and tried doing more of the technology side. And so that's been quite a learning curve, but I'm starting to figure it out.
And so this is How to Sell More. So obviously we want to focus on growth, revenue, sales. Yeah. What were some of the real aha moments or breakthroughs that you've had along the way? And have you been able to apply the same lessons as you've moved through your 6 businesses?
Yeah, I mean, it feels like people nowadays just want, like, they'll go into business just for the money and they forget about the customer and about their staff. And so it's been really easy for me. I just treat customers exceptionally well, just the way that I would want to be treated. I do everything to the best of my ability. I try to return as much value to my customer as possible, meaning trying to keep my prices competitive and reasonable. And for example, I used to remove swimming pools. We used to take out like 300 swimming pools a year. And when I would go do bids for them, it was sort of a no nonsense process. It was, here's my bid. We're not negotiable. Here are the last 100 pools we've taken out. Call any of them. I encourage you to call as many as you like, have conversations. Here's all my insurance, bonding, everything else, and testimonials and whatever. Make your own decision. I won't be the cheapest. I won't be the most expensive, but I'll be the best. And then I would leave it. I wouldn't follow up. And I would land 90% of jobs. And anybody who didn't hire me was probably more price sensitive or was looking for something else that wasn't me. And that was probably my competitors. And it's probably not a customer that I wanted. For me, when you service your customers and just treat them exceptionally well, they just refer you and they take care of you and they don't cause a lot of hassle. So that's really what my business has always been built around.
And does that lead to naturally organic growth, organic sales, some up, some down? Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not good in terms of revenue. Because when I hear you say that, I think of what keeps business owners, what keeps leaders from investing in great customer service, in great systems, in great teams, in great deliverables. And frankly, for myself even, it almost feels like there's never quite enough money to go around to hit the level that you may want to hit on everything. And so I'm curious how you were able to grow and scale businesses, how you were able to finance it, and how you were able to deliver on that when there's only so much budget, frankly, to go around.
Yeah, the answer to that is slowly. That's how. I build very...
That's not the answer anyone wants.
I know it's not. It's great. It's a superpower. When everybody else is busy trying to blitzscale and grow their business as fast as possible and hit top line growth of 3x, 4x, 5x, I just want to grow the bottom line. I want to grow profitability. I want to grow it very steadily. I want to grow my repeat customer base slowly over time. And that way, if you grow 3, 5, 10 years down the road, you are such a durable business. Whereas somebody else might come in and just dump tons of money into marketing, flood themselves with business, overwhelm themselves, not service the customers to the level they can. A lot of people get soured. They'll never come back. You get a bad reputation online. And so now you have a business that is very, very hard to continue growth and very expensive, meaning you have to pay a lot more for your customers now. And for me, it was like, well, I'm just going to avoid all of that. I don't care about having a super fast growing company. I just want a really durable company. And so that's my focus.
That is rare. That is a rare approach. On YouTube, I get served a lot of Warren Buffett clips. I mean, I think most entrepreneurs do. And so there's an uncomfortable thought, but there's the thought that just some things take time to grow. You can't plant a 40-year-old tree, right? Like, it just takes time to grow. But as you've mentioned, if you're willing to be patient and if you're willing to put in the time and you're willing to compound growth and willing to make improvements, almost every business owner that I speak to who is wildly successful past year 10 or 15 or 20, they've all just accepted that growth kind of happens at its own pace. Is that what you're suggesting, or is it still... you're still whipping it a little bit and still pushing?
I don't set any goals. I just do my best and my people do their best, and we just grow at whatever is sort of the organic, growth. And so it's funny, one of my companies that I'm with right now, Dirt Match, I took on a couple of partners in that business to handle some more of the technology side. And they've run traditional tech companies where they raise a lot of money and they scale up very quickly. And we're not raising money, we're bootstrapping it. But I think that they're getting a little anxious on the growth side because we've been at it for 3 years now. And I'm saying, well, we're providing a lot of value. We've got a lot of users. A lot of dirt is exchanging. Like, it's a very popular platform. Yeah, we could probably throw some fuel on the fire and 10x the business. But I'd rather just incrementally improve the business and make it better and better and better and have more loyal customers on the site. And so I'm patient. So there's a little bit of friction there, but in another 2 to 3 years, that business will be a monster. And I'm just not in a hurry to get there.
That is very refreshing to hear, only because I have, and maybe you've experienced this too, but I do have the one little angel on my shoulder that says, these things take time. In my experience, the first 3 years at least with any new product, any new service, any new venture, you're really testing market fit. You're really figuring things out, especially if you have a long sales cycle. Especially if you're dealing with low volume, high margin, fairly complex, somewhat customized work. It might just take you a few years to work everything out. And then I know by year 5, you're usually pretty stable. By year 7, you're usually fairly profitable. That's been my experience. Yep. And yet, I'm just like the devil on my other shoulder is like, what is taking so long? You only have so many years and we have to go and let's go. And how do we make this happen? And how do we make it bigger? And I love hearing the just keep your head down, slow and steady path to growth.
You've been in business for a while,
18 years. Yeah.
Yeah. I've been through a lot of downturns. I started my first company in 2000. So went through the collapse in 2001. That was when I started my first business. So I learned to be lean and mean, and then went through 2007, 2008. So I've been through all of these ups and downs, and all the people that I was always really jealous of their business when I was watching them just blitz scaling and going like crazy. Every time one of those big downturns happened, they went away. They're gone. And so while I'm not leveraged to the point where my businesses are going to grow into monsters, they're very, very durable, strong, provide me with a great living. I can give steady employment to all of my people. When you scale very quickly, people is always a problem. So you can't bring on like 30 great people in a month. It's not possible. And so when you grow slowly and you nurture people, you end up with just a better staff over a longer period of time as well.
Do you have a favorite entrepreneur that you tend to look up to?
I like the Richard Branson type, and I've flown with him. I've taken vacations. Not with him, but with his companies. And I feel that overall that he sets a standard in his company and the people are decent and they're fair and he provides value and he has a lifestyle. And so, yeah, I appreciate him.
I always liked Richard Branson. He used to be one of my favorites. I got a few of his books and I was quite into him. I really love Gordon Ramsay, old Gordon Ramsay, old. When he first started on television, Kitchen Nightmares out of the UK, not the American stuff where he's swearing and yelling all the time. But he always ran the same playbook, which was to come in, assess the restaurant, assess the staff and their capabilities, create a very, very small menu that was somewhat unique, but mostly just valuable and delicious that this team could actually deliver time and time again, and then focus on creating a buzz and a bit of outreach. And simplifying the menu, making sure that it can actually work to the systems in the team that you can actually deliver consistently, and then creating a bit of buzz was it was just his playbook over and over and over again. And I loved it. Mm-hmm. And I think most of us want to do the opposite. I think we want to overcomplicate everything, stretch our systems and our teams way too far, and then never create any buzz and hope that people will just find us along the way.
I think it's so funny. I was just in La Jolla for a weekend with my family, and we went to this grouping of restaurants, and there was a burger shop, an empanada shop, a pizza shop, and a taco shop. There was 1 or 2 people in each of the shops. And then the taco shop had about 40 people in line. And if you looked at it, it was obvious that they had a good premium product where they were charging a fair price, meaning like a lot of the people now start businesses and they do a premium product and they want to charge like at the top of the premium price. These people were keeping their prices down so they could sell it reasonably. And because of it, they had this big long line out the door. It was obvious why. And it's amazing to me more people don't figure that out. This is all about value. If you give amazing, good food, fair portions, and you're friendly and you sell it at a price where you can make a reasonable markup and you end up with more fresh food because they're turning food faster, it's just a better business model. And then the other places were like, well, I'm going to sell a burger. It's okay. And it's $13. And sure, some people will come in and stop in occasionally you'll never have really hardcore loyal customers. You'll never have a line of 40 people down the street. And so, I don't know, that was just really a reminder to me that, that's what people want. People just want a really good quality product at a fair price. Costco figured it out. Walmart figured it out.
Hey there, it's Mark. We will get right back to my conversation with Ryan. But first, I want to take a moment to share with you how I can help grow your business. Now, at Sales Loop, my award-winning B2B branding and marketing agency, we partner with leaders like you, people who are ready to take their business to the next level. Now, my team and I help build bold, strategic brands that share company stories and, frankly, set businesses apart from their competition to effectively drive sales. Now, as a listener of the podcast, I know you know how focused I am on helping businesses stand out and sell more. And I just might be able to do the same thing for your company as well. So if you have any questions about this or about working with us or about any of the strategies that we talk about on the podcast, I'd love to connect with you. You can find me over on LinkedIn. Feel free to reach out anytime. And if you'd like to learn more about the work that I do day to day with my agency, you can head over to salesloopbrand.com. So with that, let's get back to my conversation with Ryan.
I'm curious to pick your brain on social proof, because I know that your businesses are mainly online technologies with Dirt Match, with My Site Plan, your drafting company, and others. But social proof and reviews and systematizing, it seems to be a really big part of your business. And I don't think most companies focus enough on the social proof, the testimonials, the case studies, the reviews, showing rather than telling, and what have you. But you've always been really strong in that. Is that just a nature of e-commerce, and if you want to play, you got to get good at it? Or did you learn something along the way?
Well, like I said before, it's really about servicing customers. Like, I'm a very diligent person. So if I'm getting work done in my house, like, I don't just call the first person with the cheapest price and have them start working. I'm going to call some references. I'm going to research them online. I'm going to figure out who I'm dealing with, who's going to be coming into my house every day. And so I model my businesses the same way. It's like, I want to make sure that my customers are able to go in, do their own diligence, figure out who I am, figure out what kind of work that I do, figure out what does my Better Business Bureau look like, what does my Google reviews look like, and then they can make their own educated decision. I think a lot of people try not to go online, try not to have reviews because they're afraid of getting bad reviews. It's like, if I get a bad review, that's a data point to improve my company. They go, okay, well, here, we screwed up. What could we have done better to avoid this? And you do that enough times, your company gets better and better and better.
I want secrets here. And what you're saying is all such, it's common sense. And I love it.
Secrets. There's no secrets. It's the secret is that everybody just has their eye on the dollar. Most business owners are so concerned with the dollar that they forget about the fact that it's their customers that are going to grow their business for them. So if you're solely focused on making the next dollar, you're going to miss out on sort of where the business really has the most amount of growth.
And I will say, for listeners, when Ryan says that he does his due diligence, we've had the chance to work together. And when we first met, I come into everything. I'm super trusting. I'm super open. And you were very polite and you were very to the point. But there was a point where you're like, listen, man, you're just some guy off LinkedIn. And even though we know each other from this group, I don't know about anything. So I was like, ooh, I liked the challenge you presented in terms of me having to prove myself a little bit to you. So I really appreciated that about you.
Yes, and that's the truth. And I think about myself the same way. I'm a stranger on the internet. You don't know me. I don't know you. And so I figure I might as well just put it out there forward. Like, hey, to me, you're a stranger. You're charging, a price that's, it's a significant amount for me. And, a lot of people do that and offer, tell you a lot up front. And then just don't perform. And I've been through that many, many times. And so I figured I'd just be honest with you. But you were actually the opposite. You overperformed, which is very rare.
Well, the team, pull that clip. No. Oh, you found out the whole reason I brought you on was just to say nice things about me.
I would tell you if it was otherwise, Mark.
Actually, that's also another thing I appreciate about you, because so here's something that we were able to do. Halfway through a project, I reached out to you with what felt very uncomfortable to me, but to say, hey, we're halfway through this project. If there are things we're doing or not doing, things we're doing that you do not appreciate, things that we're not doing that you would like to see done, if there are changes to be made, it's not too late for us to adjust our approach. And I do that with each client, but every single time it makes me incredibly uncomfortable, because I'm just waiting for you or for any other person we work with to come back and go, well, now that you ask, here's 42 things you guys can do better. And that doesn't happen, but it's my fear almost every single time, honestly.
Right. And that's the same with a lot of companies afraid to ask for reviews. It's like, well, reviews are gold. You want to know where you stand. Being afraid, that's sort of like being in a relationship. If you're afraid to ask your partner a question, then that's the question that you need to ask.
So you have your hands in a whole bunch of different things. You're a professional speaker. You're an author. You advise a bunch of companies. You have your own companies. How do you tend to split your focus amongst all of the different businesses and all of the different areas you need to focus on without dropping the ball or kind of letting something slide?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you want to learn more about that, you can pick up a copy of The Hustle Trap. So I kind of outlined how I run my businesses, and it's really just removing myself from the business, seeing what breaks, and constantly fixing it. And so I've learned a lot of lessons over the years. But my businesses are quite self-sufficient, meaning I try to boil everything down to data points, so I can look at my data every morning and see what the health of my business. And if there's something that I need to dive in and work on, then I dive in and work on it. And if not, I don't have a job per se, like a day-to-day job. My job is only growth. So my time is I spend a lot of time reading and a lot of time walking and a lot of time listening to podcasts and, doing experimentations or split tests or, just things that are going to incrementally improve my business. And if I do that every single day for 5 or 10 years, I end up with a pretty solid business and a pretty solid life.
And what are the data points then, or the measurements that you use to determine if you feel you are making the personal progress in your life? You're not getting the dopamine hit from working with clients and putting out fires. You're not, acting. I don't remember who says it, but it's the idea that if you keep putting out fires, you're the arsonist. But so you're not spending the day getting the dopamine hits by putting out fires. Your businesses are self-sufficient. You're growing steadily and organically. So what are you using to measure for yourself the feeling of progress?
Well, I'm an entrepreneur. Busyness. I'm just busy. So new ideas are always coming up. I get excited about watching people succeed. I do a lot of volunteer work with entrepreneurs. I love it. It's like a lot of people like football or something. I just like watching people grow businesses. And so it fires me up. I don't like being busy at the same time. And so I think that that's part of, the reason why my businesses, they're not sexy. I don't own a fishing charter that I can go out fishing for a living, because I would enjoy that too much and I would work all the time. Instead, I have businesses that are, they're basically just service businesses. I serve my customer and I make sure that they're really happy, but it's not something that I would ever be I want to go spend 12 hours doing that. It's just not what I do. So I have a really good balance. I walk my son to school every morning and I walk to lunch during lunch, and I come to the office for about 4 or 5 hours a day just to work on, testing or going on a podcast or whatever. And I sort of live my life the way that I like. I have very low monthly expenses as well. So I don't stress about what my revenue is. It's just growth and gravy. Life is not stressful.
That is the title of the episode right there. Growth and gravy.
Yeah.
So Ryan, one final question for you. I end each conversation the same way, and I'm curious to know if you had to give us, the listeners and myself, one strategy or one tip to sell more, what would that be?
Create value. Customers buy value. What problem are you solving for them, and do it better than anybody else. And then stand strong by your pricing. Set a fair price that you don't negotiate on. And, it's kind of like what you did. You gave me a really fair price and stood by it. And now I'll refer you. It's pretty straight, simple. Don't here's a really good piece of wisdom. Don't screw people. That sounds crazy, but you'd be amazed when you start not screwing people, the amazing business that you can grow.
So there you have it. That was the conversation I had with Ryan Crownholm. Now, if you want to learn more about Ryan, his businesses, or just connect with him, head over to ryancrownholm.com. You can also find him on Instagram at Ryan Crownholm. He's also over on X, and he's on LinkedIn as well. All of his details are in the show notes of this episode. Now, while you're over on LinkedIn, feel free to look me up as well. My name is Mark Drager, and my details are in the episode show notes too. I would love to connect with you over on LinkedIn. Now, one last thing. If you're still with me, if you're still listening to this, if you've made it this far into the show, you really should subscribe. And here's why. Each and every week, we share actionable strategies and tips like what Ryan just shared with us today to be able to grow your business and boost sales. So with that, I want to thank you so much for listening. We are going to wrap up another episode. I am Mark Drager, and I will catch you in the next one.